And, interesting, this is not the big show of severe weather that we will see today. There is more intense storms expected later on, but these are in their own right here formidable. We've got a couple of thunderstorms that we've been tracking for you following these that slammed through Omaha, thunderstorms on the move through central and north central Iowa, now extending up into Wisconsin and into Minnesota as well. We do have a severe thunderstorm watch that's in effect until 1 o'clock. We're watching places like Des Moines up towards Fort Dodge in Iowa, over towards Cedar Rapids, and we're going to watch this area through the early afternoon, but then I think through the later afternoon, evening, we'll likely see more active weather through this zone. Right now, thunderstorms on the move with the risk of damaging winds. There's a couple severe thunderstorm warnings I want to point out. This one in Adams, Cass, and Taylor County. Watching this line that has been moving east, and along this line, there have been some potential areas of rotation. So you notice that on this warning, it says tornado possible. Want to make sure that you're ready for changes to the warnings. It's possible that there are tornado warnings that need to be issued. So keeping an eye along this line for those embedded areas of rotation also makes it difficult to see, right, when you've got this big area of rain coming in, and it's really just along the line that you could see, if there is any rotation, you would see that. Overall, it's going to be strong winds as the main threat. There could be some hail. Let's look at timing of this to Greenfield at 8:07, Creston 8:24, Waukee 8:50, Des Moines, West Des Moines 9:06, in Des Moines 9:14. So again, tracking this east and watching that threat, even outside of the Warren area. Just want to make sure that you are ready for what's coming your way. Now, thunderstorms here have been with us this morning. We've got this warning in Adair, Cass, and Guthrie counties, including Adair, Anita, and Greenfield. This one also has a tag on it, tornado possible. You watch along the line, you look for areas of rotation, typically using the velocity. This is the reflectivity, and just where you see this notch, kind of right in there, might be one area that you keep an eye on. But look, there'll be a tornado warning here if conditions warrant. Just be prepared for those changes. Know where you would go if you do need to seek shelter. This is that velocity product, and you can see kind of matches up right in here. It's a little broad right now in terms of storm rotation, and by the way, this shows a storm level rotation. It doesn't show us the specific tornado, but it does give you a sense of where to watch out for it, and certainly that's what the National Weather Service is using to give us those warnings. Now let's go to this other leading edge of the line of thunderstorms. This is moving through Cedar Rapids and approaching Iowa City right now. We are looking at a lot of thunder and lightning coming out with this one here, so that in itself is a risk. No severe warnings on this. We have a lot of heavy rain that extends, though, back in this whole big batch of thunderstorm activity that we've seen this morning. And there's a couple of flash flood warnings that extend here east and north of Des Moines, extending back towards Omaha, where we've seen inches of rain. I was just looking at some of the atmospheric soundings this morning, and it's just so saturated out there. So rainfall is a big concern right now. Too much rain and that flash flood threat. The thing that we'll have to watch for today, once this goes by, that we will look for the atmosphere to recover, and we'll see that risk of severe weather ramping up as we get into the afternoon hours. And so I think as we watched the radar this morning, active weather happening right now. This is really just the precursor to the storms that are going to be happening later today. And, Greg, we're watching this zone probably expanding up towards the Great Lakes, maybe expanding over into the Mississippi Valley as well. It's almost like there's two areas that we got to look for. There'll probably be a line, but then we have to watch for that tornado risk too.
That's exactly right. And you were talking about a couple of things. A line of storms.
As the rain continues to saturate everything, and at a certain point, we'll start to see too much. In fact, you could argue we've already reached that point in the Omaha area with a flash flood warning for Omaha, Council Bluffs, the surrounding area at Epley Airfield. We've already seen more than 4 inches of rain. That's just before midnight all the way until now. So we're saturated, and that's just round one that moved through this morning. We will see an additional round, and the clearing that we're going to see in the meantime, don't take that as, okay, we're done. We've already seen our severe weather. That's just the atmosphere reloading for round two, which could start to move in as early as 2 o'clock in the afternoon with some residual showers after that. But once we get through the main line after around 2 o'clock, then we should see some better clearing for the second half of the day. That's not the only spot that we're experiencing flash flooding. In fact, we go over to the Des Moines area where we've already seen a round of thunderstorms this morning producing flash flood warnings just to the east of Des Moines, but now we've got another line moving in with the severe thunderstorm warning. This is the one that Jen was talking about earlier with the tornado possible tag, saying, okay, we're watching this line very closely for any signs of rotation as it moves towards Des Moines. Now, Des Moines, you have a Torcon of 7 today, very likely to see damaging winds and very likely to see large hail. Basically, all hazards are in play here. So let's get the timing for you in Des Moines. We'll see that line start to move through, but once again, we're going to see the atmosphere reloading for the afternoon and the evening time frame. So here we go in Des Moines. Here's your second line moving through right along the I-80 corridor, where we could see just in time for your afternoon, your evening plans. You're trying to get places after work. You're trying to get the kids to the after-school activities if they're still in school, and that's what you're going to have to deal with. Let's go to the Davenport area, where we've had not a lot of activity this morning as far as what we've seen to our west, but once we get to the afternoon, we're talking same threats as what we were discussing in Des Moines. High Torcon of 7. Damaging winds, very likely. How often have we seen damaging winds as of late in some of these really powerful thunderstorms? And the potential there is for extremely large hail with very powerful updrafts supporting hail growth and then eventually that falling to the ground. Let's get the timing for you in Davenport and also Cedar Rapids, where we get to the afternoon and the evening. So your timing is a little bit later as you're farther to the east. This is around 7 p.m. knocking on the door of Davenport, already passing through Cedar Rapids, and it'll take until about 9 o'clock before we're clear in this area. Jen?
Well, this yesterday, will you make it to 90? Let's talk heat and humidity and everything that's happening across the eastern part of the country. Now, in Texas, we do still have power outages here, mainly in Harris County. 147,000 customers without power, knowing many more people are impacted by that. It is better than yesterday. They're making progress every single day, but here there's certainly a lot to overcome when it comes to getting power back on, with some transformers just completely knocked over, and there's some significant work to do. And it's in the heat that these crews are working in. Temps heading up near 90. That feels like up near 100 degrees, even beyond that as we get through the end of the week. No rain in sight for the rest of the week, which is a good thing, but there's just also nothing to help quell that heat. Temperatures are up today. We're going into the upper 90s in San Antonio, 97 degrees. We'll be near 90 in Tampa. And you notice the heat continuing to creep north as well. D.C., we've already had our first 90 of the season, but we're going up into the mid 80s today. The warmth continues up there as well. Now, Houston, for us, it's going to be a hot stretch, and that heat index is going to be heading up close to the danger zone for several hours this afternoon, getting up to near 100 degrees. We do have risks for the heat extending into the northeast, even as we see those above average temperatures today, tomorrow, and Thursday, with still 130 million above average. Chicago, it's going to be hot, 89 degrees. Look at Detroit, 88 degrees. We're going to 90s in St. Louis, and that does drive a moderate to major heat risk today, even into the Midwest, even into the Northeast here. That continues today into tomorrow as well, Molly. Now, of course, playing into this heat is the risk of storms.
Absolutely.
A lot of focus up around the Great Lakes, Missouri, Mississippi valleys. As we extend to tomorrow, it stretches out. Northeast Great Lakes, but all the way down into the plains.
And some areas are even repeating from what we've already seen. So let's talk about some of the ingredients, because once again, they'll all be in play for tomorrow. We've got the strong winds aloft that are increasing the severe weather threat. We've got the moisture that's being drawn up. We've got the instability. We've got it all.
Yes. So watch the radar early in the day. There'll be a few showers out there, but it's really throughout the afternoon and evening that we see more develop. This that was early in the afternoon, what, about 2 o'clock or so? Thunderstorms in Pennsylvania. There could be severe weather.
And then we look back to the west, down towards, say, Kentucky and Paducah, Louisville, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, all gearing up for another round of severe weather. But this continues overnight. So places like the Ohio Valley over to Pennsylvania, maybe 2 rounds coming through.
Again, severe possible in both of those cases. Now, we jump down tomorrow into Texas and want to talk about what's happening here, because from Dallas up to Jonesboro in Arkansas, we do have that likely risk of thunderstorms in many more areas surrounding it, though, with at least possible. We'll have all the ingredients in place. There's one limiting factor, at least at first, is that there could be a cap of warm air aloft that may stop the storm clouds from growing. But once that breaks, the storms have uninterrupted uninterrupted air to grow through.
You usually get explosive development once that cap breaks. So you've got all the winds in place to provide us not only with the turning with height, but also sustaining those storms as they move across the state of Texas and Oklahoma and then eventually into Arkansas.
So we do have that 3 on the Torcon. We also have a hail threat and a wind threat as well across this area. And you notice they sort of mirror each other, where we do have the likely large hail over golf ball or even baseball size hail, and then the strong damaging winds. We'll watch this actually out of storms that develop overnight tonight, maybe lingering here into the morning, and then new stuff to
and the damage in both cities and draw comparisons. As we head into what is expected to be a very busy hurricane season, it's important for other cities to take note of just the
spots. We'll get storms again, including in Texas, but you see how the green on the map expands. Lots of moisture returning, and all week you're probably going to notice every single day dew points creep a little bit higher, feels a little stickier, a little more humid out there, the muggies are on, and that's going to feed into the thunderstorm risk by the time we get to the end of the week. Pretty widespread on Friday. Minneapolis has storm chances, Kansas City and Little Rock have storm chances, Columbus, Ohio have storm chances. Now, East Coast good for now. New York City, enjoy those 80s because it does get a little bit tougher weather-wise by the weekend. The weekend brings in multiple systems pressing in through first the Ohio Valley and parts of the Midwest, eventually then to the Northeast. So let's start on Friday. We've got some storm chances out there maybe early in the day. We'll go throughout the afternoon with everything kind of expanding. There's 2 systems we're tracking. You see how one comes from the south, another one comes to the Midwest, bringing some rain to Pittsburgh by Saturday afternoon, some showers moving in through eastern Pennsylvania as we get through the afternoon hours as well, eventually getting to the rest of the Northeast. Saturday could feature severe weather as well. We'll keep an eye on Texas. This is an area where more of the instability as well as some of the upper level winds will be in place to allow that risk. Northern Texas, including Dallas, eastern Oklahoma. We've got thunderstorms then on Sunday potentially. We'll watch Nashville. We'll watch all across Kentucky. A lot of beautiful lakes here in Kentucky, and I know your holiday plans may include taking the boat out. You need to be ready for that chance of storms. Make sure you can get back into the dock pretty quickly because we have thunderstorms in the forecast in Bowling Green, in Paducah, Nashville. You've got thunderstorm chances too. And then Monday, the front doesn't really go anywhere. We just get another wave of low pressure along it, and it still keeps us active out here. So, picnics on Monday are going to be tough just because we have that risk of storms popping throughout the day. It's going to be the kind of day where you need to watch the
ways on this holiday weekend. It's going to be a busy one. In fact, there's a lot of places that are keeping track of how many people are going to be traveling. AAA is one of those, saying that this could be the busiest we've seen in a couple years. So let's look at some of the seafirst surface temperatures as you're traveling to the beach plants. This is the unofficial start of summer, and water temps are warm, by the way, especially along the Texas coast. And then we go over towards places like the Big Bend of Florida and over towards 30A. That's where our rip current risk is actually a little bit higher. So it's a good reminder this time of year to know what these flags mean. Green is the lowest risk. It doesn't mean no risk, but it is the lowest. And double red flags mean beach is closed, water's closed. You can't get in to the water, and if you do, you might face a fine. So let's go to Gulf Shores. We've got a great forecast for the next couple of days. Temperatures warming up into the mid-80s by Friday into Saturday. And it looks like we're doing a lot better as far as precipitation-wise. It's going to stay a little bit drier as we start off the holiday weekend. That's great news for your beach plans, but it's not going to stay dry everywhere. In fact, we look at the Midwest, we look at the Mid-Atlantic, back towards portions of the Mid-South, and that is where we are looking at storms, not just impacting your road travel, but also your air travel. Some of our major airports like Chicago or say up towards Minneapolis, you could be seeing delays either getting in or getting out of the airport. You might have some ground stops. You might have some delays with your flights if they're originating from these points. We get to Saturday. Now we're bringing the rain farther to the east, and we're bringing in Washington, D.C., Richmond, Atlanta, all the way back to Arkansas. Once again, Arkansas, several days of rain headed your way. And once again, that's going to impact our airports. Atlanta now in one of those spots where we could be seeing some delays. And of course, that is a major artery for